female CEO walked out naked, thinking she was alone, until she saw the single dad. The icy morning light spilled through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the penthouse, touching the edges of the cold marble floor. And in that chilled silence, a decision born from exhaustion, burnout, and heartbreak pushed the powerful young CEO, Elena Hayes, to do something she'd never done in her life. She pushed open the bathroom door, steam swirling around her bare skin, believing, absolutely believing, she was completely alone in her private penthouse. But the moment she stepped into the living room, raw and unguarded, her eyes locked with a man she had never expected to be there. A single dad, a stranger, someone who was never supposed to see her like this. Yet he did. Before the story continues, if you believe in kindness, humanity, and second chances, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to KHstories. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Elena froze. For a woman known for her icy authority and diamond-sharp confidence, the shock felt like a punch to the chest. She wasn't the type who got embarrassed, not in boardrooms, not in negotiations, not in life. But this was different. She could feel her heart slamming against her ribs, the softness of her vulnerable humanity exposed in a way she never allowed, not even to herself. Instinctively, she reached for the nearest throw blanket, wrapping it around her trembling body, though not entirely from cold. The man stood still, eyes immediately averted, posture rigid with awkwardness and respect. His face turned away so fast it was almost painful to watch, like he was terrified of dishonoring her, terrified of being misunderstood. His name was Daniel Brooks, a temporary maintenance worker the building management had called in for an emergency inspection after a dangerous electrical fault. A single dad working 2 jobs, shoulders heavy with exhaustion and worry, but still carrying a quiet gentleness in his movements. Elena hadn't known anyone entered her penthouse. Her assistant had been fired the night before after a disastrous incident at work, and no one had informed her of the emergency maintenance check. Daniel, trying to do his job quietly while assuming she was asleep behind closed doors, had walked right into the worst timing imaginable. But he didn't run. He didn't stare. He didn't joke or smirk or twist the situation into something ugly. He simply stood there with his back turned, voice soft and apologetic, until she had rushed back to her room. When Elena returned, clothed, composed on the outside though still burning with embarrassment inside, Daniel apologized again, gently, respectfully, sincerely. But what she saw then wasn't the embarrassment anymore. It was exhaustion in his eyes, a weight she recognized, a familiarity she didn't expect to feel with a stranger. And that was the beginning. For weeks after, something in Elena's life began to unravel, and then slowly rebuild. Her company was on the brink of collapse from hidden debts her late father had left behind. Investors were circling like vultures. Every night she fell asleep at her desk and woke up with the same suffocating dread. And every time she returned home, she found herself remembering the moment Daniel looked away from her, not to mock her, not to judge her, but to protect her dignity. One evening, exhausted after a brutal day, she found Daniel again, this time in the lobby. He was struggling to calm his daughter, Lily, a sweet girl with tangled curls, tear-filled eyes, and a backpack nearly bigger than her. Lily had lost her sketchbook, the only place where she expressed the feelings she couldn't say aloud. She was overwhelmed. Daniel looked helpless, worried, and beyond tired. Elena approached them, surprising herself. She knelt, speaking softly to Lily, helping her retrace her steps, offering reassurance. When they finally found the sketchbook in a corner of the lobby, Lily hugged her without hesitation. That hug cracked something in Elena's heart. From that day on, Elena and Daniel's paths kept crossing. Not intentionally, not romantically. Just 2 exhausted souls navigating life's storms, finding small moments of warmth in each other's presence. Daniel listened when she spoke, not like an employee forced to tolerate his boss, but like someone who genuinely cared. And Elena saw the truth behind his tired eyes. A man who worked himself to the bone not for ambition, not for ego, but for love. Pure, simple, unconditional love for his little girl. It was love she had never experienced. And slowly, Daniel and Lily became the only part of her day that didn't feel heavy. But life wasn't kind enough to leave things simple. The board found out about Daniel, twisted the story, dug into his background, exaggerated the incident where he accidentally saw her. They threatened to use it against her if she didn't resign. They called him irresponsible, dangerous, unprofessional. They said he was her level and could ruin her image. For the first time, Elena broke. She confronted the board with a fire they had never seen in her before. She defended Daniel, his honesty, his dignity, his respect. She told them that if the world had more men like him, it would be kinder. And then she walked out, choosing her self-worth over the empire she'd sacrificed her youth to build. But she didn't go home. She went to Daniel. He was shocked to see her at his small apartment, even more shocked when she told him the truth, that she didn't lose her company because of him, but because she finally understood what truly mattered. Daniel invited her inside. Lily ran to her, clutching her tightly. And in that cramped, warm apartment filled with handmade drawings and second-hand furniture, Elena felt something she never felt in her penthouse worth millions. Home. Not because of the walls, but because of the people. Daniel promised to help her rebuild, not financially but emotionally, step by step, day by day, from pain to healing. And Elena, for the first time in years, allowed herself to be fragile, allowed herself to be held, allowed herself to love. Months later, standing on the balcony of her modest new office, she watched Daniel and Lily plant a small tree outside, a symbol of new beginnings, a symbol of growth, a symbol of the life she never knew she wanted. And when Daniel looked up at her with that gentle smile, the same one he gave her on the day he turned his eyes away to protect her, Elena knew her story had changed forever. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to KHstories. Your support means more than you know. Special request before the ending. Please comment your favorite moment or the lesson you took from this story. And so, a powerful CEO who once stood alone on a silent penthouse floor finally found a family, not in wealth, not in power, but in the unexpected grace of a single dad and his little girl. A reminder that life doesn't always give us what we expect. Sometimes it gives us something better,